Okay, climate change. What are the effects of climate change on sustainable development?
Climate change is a huge challenge to development. For so much of the developing world where people are dependent on primary agriculture, the increasing variability of the climate, the erratic rainfall, the oscillation from drought to flooding, this is enormously destabilising of basic food production. So at the most basic level, climate change is affecting our ability as a world to feed our people. Secondly, in these water-stressed, water-insecure places, the burden on the women of having to walk so much further for the water every day, unproductive activity which really consumes so much of their time. Similarly, the gathering of fuel for firewood. So the question is, what can we do about it? And of course there's a tremendous amount that can be done. At the global level, we need this deal. We need it very, very badly. We need the fast-track financing out there supporting countries and communities to adapt to the climate change which is happening now and which is already inevitable. We need clean development paths, which means the technology transfer and the funding for countries to be able to get renewable, sustainable paths to development rather than the old fossil fuel heavy path. There's so much we can do.
There seems to be widespread agreement on what needs to be done. The problem seems to be on how we do it. How far away are we from meeting these goals?
I think everybody knows what has to be done. It comes down to how much is each player prepared to do. It's always been a basis of the climate negotiating process that there is a common but differentiated responsibility, which means the developed nations are expected to make very firm reductions in their greenhouse gas emissions over time, and also will need to come up with a substantial amount of funding. Developing countries and communities and peoples have not caused this problem. This problem has its roots elsewhere. But of course, if development now were to proceed on a fossil fuel heavy path, then we would be increasing the problem. So support for sustainable routes to development is absolutely critical. Where does UN Development Program come in? Well, we come in with supporting countries to develop the capacity to get the smart strategies in place. Strategies for adaptation and mitigation need to go at the very heart of development strategies. We need to help build capacity to actually access the climate finance which is out there, and particularly the finance that's in the mechanisms, the carbon market mechanisms. It's tough to get if you're a small country without a specialised bureaucracy. So we have to help build capacity for these things. Take, for example, the REDD+ forest-based initiative where Norway has undertaken to fund Indonesia for $1 billion. You don't just get a cheque for $1 billion. You have to build the whole process, build the institutions, consult with the communities, come up with a plan, be able to monitor and verify and report on that. UNDP is now very heavily involved in Indonesia to support it to get into a position where it can access that very substantial funding.
And after the disappointments of Copenhagen last year, do you feel there's a new move, a more positive attitude here in Cancun?
Well, expectations for Copenhagen were very high. Expectations for Cancun, I think, are to keep the process moving forward. It's not so long now till the Kyoto Protocol commitments run their course. It would be a tragedy for the world not to be left with ongoing commitments to action. So while no one's expecting a comprehensive agreement here, it would be a wonderful thing to see agreement on specific parts of what must make up a total package.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.